my rebel.
Trying to be so provocative. I said, oh yeah, that was me. All the things I did just to be seen. I've grown my past and I've shed my skin, letting it go and I'll start again, never look back, it's a waste of time. I said, oh yeah, this is me, and I'm right here where I wanna be. I said, hell yeah, this is me, right where I'm supposed to be. So I took the road less traveled by, and I barely made it out. Through the darkness, somehow I survived. Tough love, I knew it from the start, deep down in my rebel heart. So I took the road less traveled by, and I barely made it out. Through the darkness, somehow I survived. Tough love, I knew it from the start, deep down in the depths of my rebel heart.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Brain Purge. This is your host, Donovan. Thanks for listening to the show. It is Friday morning, 12 a.m. Central Standard Time in Dallas, Texas. Thanks for listening to me on Brain Purge, where I talk about whatever is on my mind. No format whatsoever, just rambling and stream of consciousness and chit-chat, so nothing really planned or polished. So thanks for listening and joining me for the show. First of all, that was Rebel Heart by Madonna. That's a new song. The song has not been released yet. It's been leaked. It was leaked a while back, last week or whatever, and I happened to snag a copy of it offline. So that's it. It's an amazing song. I love it. I love the message of the song. I love her as always. She's the queen. So I'm very, very happy with it. She also, she didn't release it, but another song that was leaked was called Wash All Over Me, which is a dance song. Really, really good as well. But much more like throbbing beat type of a thing, dance music. So you'd hear it in the clubs or whatever. But anyway, she's really unhappy about it being leaked. She doesn't know where the leak came from. No one does, I don't think. And obviously it was someone within her camp or people that she had worked with or in the studio, because they had a very clear, obviously, as you could see or tell, a very clear copy of it. And it was very, it was the well-produced or the final produced version. So it must have been someone who was working with her producers or with her musicians or something. I don't know. On one hand, it sucks because I don't want people to take advantage of her, but I also find it, a happy accident because, fans like me were starving for new Madonna music, and finally we can hear some. And I'm telling you, I played that song literally probably 50 times in the past week, and and the other song by her as well, Wash All Over Me. And I don't think either one of those songs were meant to be released anyway individually at this point. They were, I think the song, the title of the album, I think is going to be called Unapologetic Bitch, but I'm not sure. Maybe Rebel Heart. But regardless, I really like the sound of the new album that's forthcoming album, and I can't wait to hear it legitimately and buy her album like 10 times. The digital version, I always buy the CD version of her music because I've done it all along, since I've been a fan since I was really young, and I have every single album of hers. And so even though I buy it digitally, I always buy a hard copy as well, just because, one, I want to support her, and also because I want it for posterity. So that's why I do that. But anyway, so what's on my mind tonight besides Madonna? First of all, before I get past Madonna, she was on the cover of Interview magazine December 1st, and it's the art issue. And she was interviewed by David Blaine, the magician David Blaine, the one that kind of levitates and kind of weird looking and black, wears all black, and but anyway, he interviewed her for the issue, and he did a good job. And he asked her a lot of questions about her career and et cetera. And it's about the art issue. And as you know, Madonna, if you don't know, but Madonna was a huge part of New York's art scene at a really pivotal time in New York. New York's city's kind of rebirth out of the 70s. They were almost bankrupt in the 70s and kind of was reborn in the 80s. And art was a big part of that, and kind of pushing and driving forces towards a new prosperity in New York City. And some of the most famous artists in the world, Keith Haring and Basquiat and Andy Warhol, she knew them and was friends with them. And Keith Haring was a really good friend, like a best friend of hers. And she actually dated Basquiat. I can't remember how you pronounce his name. It's I can't remember his whole name either. It was Jean something Basquiat. But anyway, she dated him. He's a black artist who did like graffiti art. Awesome artist. And there's a really great documentary about him on Netflix, by the way. Anyway, and Keith Haring as well. And so she was a big part of that scene. And, of course, she became an icon in her own right, and she is. And I think there was a special time, in the early 80s in New York City that a lot of really great artists were born from. So she was part of that whole mix and milieu of art at the time. So he talks to her about that in the article. But the most scandalous thing about the article is she poses nude in it. Well, not nude, but topless. And there's one particular shot of her where she's got like a black blouse on, and she has her, breasts hanging out. And of course, she's been airbrushed and all that stuff because it's a magazine and it's an art issue, et cetera. So it's art. But beyond, you have to have something to start with, something good to start with, right? And she looks fucking amazing for 56 years old, which I wouldn't expect anything less of her. She's very controlling about her physique and her appearance and her image. So I would expect her to look really great. And she does. And her tits are like at attention. They are not sagging. They are not like, they don't look like they're implants. I mean, I recognize her breasts because, I've seen her in Truth or Dare and The Sex Book, et cetera, and movies she's been in. And she's always had really nice breasts and very pretty breasts. And so they are her breasts, and they don't look like they've been augmented or anything. So she's 56 years old, looks fucking amazing. She looks better than most 40-year-olds, in my opinion. So I think it's amazing that she's really, really just accomplished so much, like as a human being in her lifetime. And as that song Rebel Heart alludes to, if you listen to the lyrics of the song, and actually I'll read you the lyrics real quick just in case you couldn't get them, because I love the message of the song. And as I said, when I first heard it, I could write some of the song myself for my own life. Not that I'm Madonna or anything, which I'm not, but I'm saying, how it applies to my own life and how I chose my own path and didn't take the road. I took the road less traveled, et cetera, in my own life as well, career-wise and my personal life, et cetera. So I think that I feel a certain sort of camaraderie or whatever with Madonna for that. And I guess my point is I kind of have an understanding about what she's saying. I understand what she's saying. But I'll read to you the lyrics real quick because I just love the song. I love it. But anyway, here are the lyrics. The lyrics are Rebel Heart. It says, She says, I live my life like a masochist, hearing my father say, told you so, told you so. Why can't you be like the other girls? I said, oh no, that's not me, and I don't think that it'll ever be. I thought I belonged to a different tribe, walking alone, never satisfied. Tried to fit in, but it wasn't me. I said, oh no, I want more. That's not what I'm looking for. So I took the road less traveled by, and I barely made it out alive. Through the darkness, somehow I survived. Tough love, I knew it from the start, deep down in the depth of my rebel heart. I spent some time as a narcissist, hearing others say, look at you, trying to be so provocative. I said, oh yeah, that was me, all the things I did just to be seen. Outgrown my past, and I've shed my skin, letting it go, and I'd start again. Never look back. It's a waste of time. I said, oh yeah, this is me, and I'm right where I want to be. I said, hell yeah, this is me, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So I took the road less traveled by, and I barely made it out alive. Through the darkness, somehow I survived. Tough love, I knew it from the start, deep down in my rebel heart. And she repeats that, and then she says, tough love, I knew it from the start, deep down in my rebel heart, in my rebel heart, in my rebel heart, in my rebel heart, blah, blah, blah. So that was the lyrics, and I just love it because it really encapsulates the sense and feeling of someone who is an iconoclast, as I used to use or have used as my handle online for years, and someone who's a maverick and a rebel, and someone who is paving their own way in the world, and not just doing what everybody else does. And that's more true about Madonna than anyone else I can ever think of. I mean, she kind of is the embodiment of that. So she's incredibly, I love her music also because she's a great songwriter, right? And that's just that's the proof of that. And she writes almost every one of her songs she's ever sang. She's written most of them. I'd say 95% of the songs she's ever sang, she's written. And so anyway, my point is that it's a good song. So I don't know when it's going to be released officially, but definitely check it out when it comes out. Okay, next topic. So I took this stupid, those stupid BuzzFeed quizzes or whatever that you can take online. I take them all the time consistently. They post your results on Facebook or whatever. So I took the one that said, what should you do for a living? And my result was professional designer. Hello, architect, interior designer here. So it says professional designer. Here's why. You're highly imaginative, madly creative, and you are definitely an original thinker. You love bringing beautiful things to life. You have a natural ability to bring beauty, taste, and harmony to anything you touch. Oh, so true. So that's one of the few times it's been like dead on. But anyway, that was nice. But, it's funny because when I take those kind of quizzes and stuff, especially when I take any kind of personality assessment or whatever, it's always right for me. So I guess there is definitely some, scientific truth to them. They really do predict what a person's personality might, lean towards in terms of career or other parts of their personality. And mine always says architect, interior designer, or actor, or artist, or writer. It's always they're all kind of the same kind of general genre, and is a list of things I should be. And I'm most of all those things, or have been at some point. And so it's pretty cool to be who I am. And I like who I am, and that I've become something of a to myself. I've really fulfilled my dreams in my career, in my life, generally speaking. Nothing's perfect. My life's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. But I've gotten very close to everything I wanted in my life. And so I'm very successful. And when I say successful, I'm not talking about just having, money or having enough money to do things you want to do, enough disposable income or whatever. I'm talking about a success in the fact that you're happy and you have the things that you need to be happy, which to me is not money. It's more about family, friends, love, relationships, whatever. And career is important to me too. And so I have all of those things, and therefore consider myself happy because I do have them. And sometimes, I have days where I I get, down on myself just like everybody else. I'm like, oh, I wish I had this or had that or whatever. But I generally am pretty happy. Now, there's things I wouldn't want to fix. But I'd say I'm 90% happy, and that's pretty fucking good if you ask me. In this cesspool of a disgusting world we live in, where it's almost impossible to be happy, because we have like so much fucking bullshit coming at us all of the goddamn time. We have to contend with so much fucking shit in this world, and people just being fucking assholes because they want to be or they can be, or people just being mean to you because they want to be or they can be, or just life in general is a fucking hard thing to live, So I don't know. I find it to be amazing that anyone can find happiness to any degree in the world we live in. And that reminds me of some of the things that's happening right now in the news, like the whole thing, that guy in what was his name? I forgot the guy's name. I'm sorry. The guy that got beat up in somewhere, I can't remember his name, but he was killed because they crushed his windpipe or whatever. He's the guy who said he couldn't breathe. By the cops or whatever, and his name, Eric Garner is his name. Anyway, Eric Garner, and I don't know if you've heard of the story, but this guy on Staten Island, New York City, basically, he was selling individual cigarettes, and you're not supposed to do that. It's like because for some reason you can't sell them individually. You have to sell them as a whole package, because otherwise you're circumventing the system of retail or whatever, and then they don't get taxes or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, it's not legal or something, and there's like a small fine you have to pay or whatever if you're doing that. It's not a major infraction by any means. Okay, so, however, there were like 2 or 3 cops who were telling the guy, asked what he was doing, and he told them what he was doing. And then he said, well, you're under arrest or whatever. And he's like, what? And he held his hands up and like, no, I'm not, or something like that. And they immediately tackled him, put him on the ground in a chokehold. And while he was there, he said something like, get away. He said something to get away or whatever. And he said, get away for what? Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. It stops today. Why would you? Everyone standing here will tell you I didn't do nothing. I didn't sell nothing, because every time you see me, you want to harass me. You want to stop me. Selling cigarettes. I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time. Please just leave me alone. Please, please don't touch me. Do not touch me. And then they start putting him in a chokehold. And he says, I can't breathe, like 8 times. And finally he stops talking. And it's because they killed him. They did kill him. They broke his windpipe or whatever that caused him to not be able to breathe anymore. And as a result of the chokehold. And the chokehold is not even legal anymore. It hasn't been legal since 1996 or something, since a particular case that happened in the country or in that area. And they were using it anyway. So it's very much an overkill situation where the cops, were treating him like he was a murder suspect and not like he was selling single cigarettes on the street. Don't you think that is complete overkill for what the offense was? I do. I think it's ridiculous. And to think that this is the world we live in, where cops get away with so much fucking shit, just like in Ferguson. This man was also African-American. So, of course, everyone blames the African-American man because the African-American men are so horrible and they're just evil. And we know that the white cops wouldn't do shit to them because they're white, right? Whatever. My point is that, this is the world we're living in. It's almost a police state. And if cops can get away with this, and these cops were not charged for this, by the way, just like the guy, Darren Wilson, whatever his name was not indicted in Ferguson case, even though in Ferguson we had several witnesses to the case, and plenty of forensic evidence that proved that he was lying. The cop was lying about what went down, that proved actually the witnesses were correct. That he didn't get indicted and didn't go to jail. And in this case, of the Eric Garner's case, we actually have video and audio. We see the whole thing happen, and they still were not sent to jail. So if this person who was selling cigarettes were your nephew or your uncle or your dad or whomever it might be, and they were doing this and this happened to him, would you then agree that the force that they used was unnecessary or overkill? I think you would. And you would, especially if he was killed as a result of it. So it's not like the guy was a murderer or he was a rapist or he was anything that was going to put other people in harm by what he was doing. Yeah, he should not have been doing it. Fine, maybe that's true because it's against the law or whatever. But even if that's the case, he should have gotten a ticket, not a death sentence. So I just find the world, this country, is just going to fucking hell. And some people are okay with it because he was black and they hate black people or whatever and they're racist. And other people think that, agree with me that this is just ridiculous to live in a country where this is deemed acceptable. There are no repercussions at all for this guy's death. And these cops just get off. I mean, even with fucking video. So what in the hell can we do to ensure the safety of ourselves as citizens in this country? I really don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And, the cops here in Dallas are very corrupt. The whole city of Dallas is... the city council, the mayor's office, the jail system, the cops here, everything, the majority of them are very, very corrupted. And that's just the truth. It's not an opinion. If you look back in our newspaper, the Dallas Morning News, or on television on WFAA, Channel 8 News, or ABC News here, or whatever other channel you want to go to, you will see in the course of the past, 20, 30 years, how much corruption and how many times people have gone to prison or been indicted or been removed from office as a result of their corruption. So Dallas is just a fucking cesspool of, it's like living in Washington, D.C. or something. So I don't know. I'm just really fucking pissed because, first of all, I am not someone who likes authority. I hate authority. I don't trust authority, I should say. I've never trusted it. And this is why, because, as a kid, most of us are taught, you should respect authority and you should, so they'll be there for you when you need them, like cops or teachers or whatever. I don't know, firemen, I don't know, whatever kind of quote unquote authority you want to discuss. But whatever the case may be, it's like, I personally am anti-authority type of a guy. I not just to be anti-authority as much as just to be my personality. I'm just not, hold on, I'm answering somebody. Sorry. I'm just not. So anyway, I don't know what the answer is to that, but I mean, whatever the fuck happens to it with the situation, that's just one situation out of probably hundreds a day or a year where men and women of all races are being harassed because they're, and this is the way I see it, when it is a racial thing, I find it to be because of the fact that people are afraid of losing their status in the country. And I've talked about this before. Caucasians are so afraid they're going to lose the predominant racial status that they have enjoyed for 400 years or 300 years or 200 years, whatever it is fucking here in America. It's been what, 300 no 200 400 years, right? Yeah, 400 years almost. So it really needs to change, and not because they're white, but because they've been completely they've been in power long enough. Let's let some other people run the world now, not just Caucasian people. And that's going to happen as a result anyway, because there are more brown people, if you want to call brown people that or whatever, or ethnic people of whatever ethnicity, than there are Caucasians in the world. And in America as a whole, it is becoming more and more minority majority here, and it will be by 2050. So it really is just a matter of time. And I'm glad. And I think it should be. It doesn't have to be ruled by minorities. It doesn't have to be ruled by Caucasians. It can be ruled in a more balanced effort, and that's the way it should be. It should be balanced between all the races. In my opinion, you should have a percentage of who the people are in whatever country you're in. The pure democracy, or in my opinion, would be a representative council or some sort that represents everyone. So if you have 15% of the population are African American, then you want 15% of the people in Congress to be African American. If you have 80% of the people in America who are Caucasian, you want 80% of Caucasian people in the Senate and the Congress, et cetera, and so forth. So I think the president's kind of a hard one to do that with, but the Congress and the representatives, which is what they're there for, to represent the people, then that is something you could do that with. And I think that would really even the playing field. And the same on the Supreme Court, and not just race, but sexual orientation, even gender identity. I think people who are transgender should be on there too. If they're a large enough portion of society, they should be represented as well, and so on and so forth. I think everyone should be represented, whatever their beliefs. Even if you're a Republican, if you have more Republicans in the country, then you should have more Republicans, there, and so on and so forth. And so, even though I hate Republicans, so I'm a fair guy though. And I think that's a fair system. But of course, that's not the way things work here, and they never have, and they probably never will. But it is the reason we have so much strife and so many issues, I think, between the races here. And, there's just not an equitable treatment under the law, as these two incidences, as Ferguson and also Trayvon Martin, and this incident in Staten Island with this man who was killed by the police illustrate. We do not have equality or equal treatment under the law. And that's something that we're promised in our Constitution or our Bill of Rights or whatever, some one of those two documents. So it isn't as if, people are asking for something that they shouldn't already have. That is therein the problem, that they should already have these things. And unfortunately, it's being held away and held back. And I think that's wrong. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. So what else did I want to talk about on Brain Purge tonight? I'm trying to think of other things that have been going on in the news or whatever. There's this rumor that Rosie O'Donnell is leaving The View because nobody likes her or something. And I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I think the New View is amazingly good, and it's fun. It's I laugh a lot more on that show, since Barbara Walters is gone and Elizabeth Hasselbeck, and those people. I like Barbara Walters, but she was just a little too serious and, curmudgeonly most of the time. But especially what's her face, Elizabeth Hasselbeck being gone. Thank you, God, she's gone. She was a horrid person. But now she's on Fox, where she belongs, with all the other races. And if you look at Fox News, by the way, which says it's well balanced, there isn't one black person or person of color, Asian, black, Hispanic, Native American, even nothing representing anyone other than white people on Fox. And if you look at all the anchors, they're all white. Every single one of them, and most of them are white males. And then you wonder why people call them unfair, unbalanced, and not really news, and why they are considered to be so bigoted and racist and elitist, etc. Because they are. Fox News is a joke. It always has been. And the fact that some people take it seriously really makes me question people's fucking intellect. I mean, people really buy into the bullshit that these bobblehead idiots say on Fox News. And I do use the word news very loosely. And that's what's the problem with people just don't think. They don't use their goddamn brains. Use your fucking brain, people. If you're a Republican and you are if you vote Republican and you're someone who's poor or someone who doesn't have a lot of money, it doesn't make any sense because Republicans are only interested in protecting the rights of the wealthy in this country. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they may seem to do. Everything that they do and say behind closed doors, and their actions speak much louder than their words in public. Their actions say, I care about lining my own pockets by holding up the Koch brothers and people like that who will give me lots of money, and the lobbyists will give me lots of money to stay in my position. Instead of doing what's right for the country, they do what's right for their own pockets. Whereas Democrats, of course, are just as guilty in some instances. I would say just as guilty, but they also do that as well. But I do say that, and I have said many times before, that Democrats generally are far more interested in the common good and the whole, as opposed to being interested only in what's in it for themselves, as is the case with Republicans. So I think we just need a whole new fucking party. I mean, I really do. We just need a new party that is, completely different from what we have now. So, if you have Democrats, you want something that's completely leftist. And if you have Republicans, you want somebody who's like a complete teabagger, which I guess we currently already have that party. And then let's see who wins, let's see who we have then. But really the best thing would be something in the middle, because most of America is moderate. They're not as liberal as I am, and they're not as, right-wing crazy nutbag as Tea Partiers. Most people are somewhere in between. So, and I think that's a fair balance, as long as you have a few, people who are really liberal and a few people who are really conservative to kind of hold things in check. That way everybody stays in the middle to some degree. And I think that's the most fair thing. Because just like I was saying about having everybody represented in Congress by race, it's the same thing in terms of ideology. You want to have a mixture of ideas and thoughts so that not everybody's thinking the same thing or is polarized to one way or the other, but we have something in the middle that's a true compromise in thought and not just one thought. Of course, that's really difficult to do when you have a Congress, like Republican Congress, that refuses to actually pass a fucking bill. But I digress. By the way, speaking of that, the Obamas, the president earlier, talking about the Obamas and how their daughters were, how their daughters were thrown under the bus with that stupid Fox News chick, or not Fox News. She was a director of communications for, Republican something or party. I don't know, some shit. She had a pretty big job. But anyway, she was a nutbag, a right-winger, and she was talking about the Obama girls and saying how tacky they were on the Turkey Pardon Day, the president standing over there, and so they look like they should belong in a bar, which is ridiculous. They shouldn't. They're just kids. I mean, one's like 16 and one's 13 or something like that. I mean, they're fucking kids, and I think that's just tacky as hell to attack someone's children. Even people I hated online, I've never attacked their kids. I've never said anything about them, regardless of how ugly they may have been or how, horrible they may have treated people or whatever. I didn't ever say anything about those people's kids, and I never would, because I think kids are off limits, whatever age they are. I just think if they're not part of the situation, then why bring them into it? So, Malia and Sasha are children of the Obamas. They are not the president, and they have no say in policy. So just to act as if they did something wrong is wrong to me. She was saying that they dressed badly or something for the particular thing. They should have dressed up more or something. And I thought it looked just fine. The problem was they had these sour looks on their faces, like they just got in a big fight with their dad or something, and they were giving them this kind of go to hell look the whole time, or kind of just like they didn't want to fucking be there, which I wouldn't either. I mean, there's teenagers, and remember when you were a teenager, did you want to actually fucking be there with your parents at their job or anything? No. And the whole fucking world, it must be really, really hard to be a child of a president and living in the White House under all that scrutiny. That's going to be really fucking hard. So I give them a break if you ask me. And I'd say the same thing about the Bush girls. The Bush girls, whom I cannot stand their father, the Bush girls got into a lot of trouble while they were in the White House, and so I found it to be, I just as wrong to make fun of them. And also, like Chelsea Clinton, people were making fun of Chelsea Clinton when she was a teenager in the White House because of how she looked. They said she was ugly and whatever. They called her a dog and so forth. So I find all of those things to be abhorrent, and I think people should just fucking, leave them a fuck alone, What else do I want to talk about? I don't think there's much left to talk about. I mean, every time I have a show like this, a Brain Purge show, I like all these things I want to talk about, and I forget to talk about them, and I never write down my notes because I just want it to be spontaneous and just chat, and not really kind of, give myself a guide. I'm trying to see if there's anything else before I go. No, I don't think there is. I was looking at... anyway, so I'm going to play, when I'm on the way out here, I'm going to play the other song, Madonna's other song that was leaked, and it's called Wash All Over Me. It's a dance song. I like it a lot. So I hope you enjoy it. I'll be back later in the week with Gay Mass for a full show, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.